Here.
Adam Blau.
Here.
Ben Hendry. Here. Eric Strange.
Here.
Andy Ellison.
Here.
Laura McIntosh.
Okay, rise for the pledge to the flag, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. No, I should have done roll call after the pledge, sorry. Doesn't matter. All right, we have a couple of minutes with the minutes of the July 31st joint PC and council meeting. Entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the September 16th regular minutes of council.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, we are down to visitors and communications. Fort Thomas Business Council update. Somebody from Fort Thomas Business Council. Tell us all the cool stuff that's happening in Fort Thomas.
Always exciting stuff happening here. So, Nick Roth from Gross Insurance and the Fort Thomas Business Council. Couple things. We had one ribbon cutting this past month for Tyler Little at Redbird Wealth Planning. Easy for me to say. It's at 1220 South Fort Thomas in the old Ice House building. It's a really cool event that he's renovated the entire place. It's really neat over there. I know they're looking for a tenant on the second floor, so if anybody's looking for a commercial space to lease, reach out to Tyler. I know we're going to hear from Amy Waldfogel from the Village Players here tonight. And then two other things I wanted to touch on. So this Thursday we are having our monthly meeting, and we're going to have a presentation on Google marketing and optimizing your Google profile. That'll be at the mess hall from 11:30 to 1. We're really excited about that. It seems like everybody always, help with marketing, and do it for free. So, your Google profile's out there and it's free. So we're really excited to hear what you have to say on that. And lastly, later that day, actually from 4 to 7 at Grassroots and Vine, we're going to do a pumpkin carving event. So businesses can come and have some free apps and a few drinks and carve a pumpkin for the pumpkin walk on Friday. So
Cool.
I think that's all I have to say. Any questions from anybody?
Very nice.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Thank you guys.
All right, Amy.
Thanks, everybody. Like I said, my name is Amy Waldfogel. I'm the president of the Village Players of Fort Thomas, down the road at 8 North. And I just wanted to drop in and say hello. It's been a little bit. I was in rehearsal during the last meeting, so I wasn't able to come by. I want to thank you for your continued partnership. You probably noticed our pretty new door. It actually now has a lock that locks, and it took more steps than anyone could have imagined possible to get that done, but it is done, and we're very pleased and very thankful for that partnership with you. Also thankful to Chanda for keeping us informed about the city events, and we're really enjoying participating in those this year. We'll be at pumpkin carving, for example. We just closed our first main stage production, Sally Cotter and the Censored Stone, which enjoyed, among other things, some shout outs and some attention to Fort Thomas by the playwright. The person who wrote it, Dean Carroll, was magnifying our tweets about it and interacting with us. And had a lot of fun with that, so I was very pleased we could show the city in a good light that way. We have 3 more shows coming up in our season. Holidays 2, our Christmas show in December, True West at a Sam Shepard play in February, and These Shining Lives, which is the same story, if you've ever heard of Radium Girls, the same story, different take on it. That one will be in April. But wanted to let you know that we have a 3-show season package for $50 for anyone who's interested. Check out villageplayers.org for that. And in the immediate, if you are looking at the calendar noticing that Halloween is next week and you don't have costume yet, the good news for you is there is a community theater down the street with 60 years worth of costumes and we are renting them out. Our last rental period is this Saturday from noon until 4. For $10 you can rent a costume. Another $10 for the security deposit, and we give you that $10 when you bring it back. Our costumer is also being known to just simply sell some stuff outright. So come in if you want to do some horse trading, she can probably help you out. we've been enjoying hosting a lot of different groups. So we had the Village Garden Club recently in our building in the lovely gallery area that is available for rentals, that sort of thing. This next week on the 2nd, we will be hosting the literary magazine called Many Nice Donkeys. We'll be hosting a literary event that will have some featured speakers at 5 o'clock and an open mic at 6. If you've got some poetry you'd might like to have a audience for, we encourage you to bring that out to there. But overall, just want to let you know we've got lots of fun stuff going on. I'll be back to update you on the other things coming up. We've got barbershop, we've got in the coming year, also expecting to have a one-man play about Ralph Waldo Emerson. We're working on some other artistic things. So if you know someone who does something artistic, send them our way. You can reach me at president@villageplayers.org.
Amy, I just wanted to thank you guys. Your gentleman came up and spoke last time. You did a fantastic job. I grew up in this city, and I'd always heard of the Village Players. I never really knew who it was. Never got that close to it.
We hear that a lot, which is why we're coming to
Of
this.
course, I did marry a woman with an art history degree, so it enlightened me a lot more. But I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in the last few years of really promoting yourself, having a lot more activities going on in town, and I think it's going to pay off for you guys in the long run. So I hope it continues the path that you're on. But I think you guys are doing a good job to get it out there.
Thank you.
Just to echo that,
Yes,
I
sir.
went this past weekend to an art show for Ruth Conley,
Oh, wasn't that
and
lovely?
it was fantastic. It was so good. And I was walking into the building, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that this is my first time walking into the building. I've never been there.
Well, we certainly want to have you over more.
And you're going to get both of us back a
Excellent.
lot more often.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
Amy, you're gonna get one more compliment too.
Yes, sir. Hey, I'll just lay it on.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife's a member of the garden club, and the entire club was raving about the location, how beautiful it was, and it had everything they need. It just suited their needs perfectly, and I just wanted to share that with you and encourage other people as well to utilize that space for rentals, whenever you have a need that you can meet. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Any other questions or anything? You do.
See what I mean? It's just kind of.
There's awesome stuff happening. Like I said, we have our holiday show will be the first 2 weekends in December. We've got a cast announcement out for True West. These Shining Lights has not auditioned yet. That'll be in the next couple of weeks. And we will always take all comers. If you swing a hammer, if you organize things, if you just want to stand around and tell people where to go, we'll take you and find a job for you. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Amy. All right, Steph.
Steph Chalk, 21 Lafayette, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address each and every one of you. I'm going to talk about, initially talk about city council campaigns, and actually talk about the prior campaign, and talk a little bit about the October 1 meeting, the planning meeting, as well as talk about the process and for historic buildings in the city. So that's everything I have tonight. So what I noticed as I looked at, and anybody can look it up, it's on NKY link, but what council said they were going to do on the front end 2 years ago, and I was surprised how accurate it was with what we've been working on and what you've all been working on. So kudos to you for that. Just a section on loyalty and serving the community. What you said is, my loyalty will lie with the neighbors and neighborhoods and taxpayers. We are elected to be leaders and make decisions that represent the people in town. My top priority is to be an advocate for the residents of Fort Thomas. I will ensure their voices are heard and communication is transparent. All good stuff. We are elected to be leaders and make decisions that represent the people of the town. I'll ensure that the neighborhoods will have their own input in the decisions that are being made by city council. So we also had a section of communications, and that was, in order to increase transparency, accountability, and effectiveness of the city government, we need broader avenues for civic engagement. Improving our communications, top priority for staff, and is much better than just meeting the minimum requirements. The concerns of communication and transparency have become more pronounced. So then I go to, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and go to the October 1st meeting, the planning meeting. And I'm going to talk first about a recording at 1 hour, 21 minutes. And it was addressing one of the residents of Green Street had made some statements calling into question the process and procedures of that meeting and how the October 1st meeting was being conducted. Also a question were the scheduling of that meeting, the citizens' rights to speak in excess of 180 seconds, the process of cross-examination, the lack of discourse, the court cases that were cited, and the need for a follow-up meeting with updated procedures. So I'm curious, has anyone from the city reviewed those points? Any kind of status update on that?
Yes, and I met with Mr. Magerly. He and I have a difference of opinion as to exactly what was required. We went through KLC when we prepared our meeting. The cross-examination that was referenced by Mr. Magerly, in my opinion, deals more with a particular adversarial proceeding like a Board of Adjustments situation where one party is potentially being aggrieved or injured. We feel like the initial structure of the meeting provided due process and was appropriate, and absolutely felt like the modified version thereof went above and beyond.
Okay, thanks. And did any citizens have legal representation in that, or were you in a dual role on that?
And clarify that, please.
Well, the citizens felt one way. I mean, it was easy for the citizens to jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, yeah, we want more time, we want this, that, and the other. And I understand that you work with the council, but did any independent council represent the citizens in that decision?
The only attorney that contacted me throughout the process was Mr. Magerly.
Okay.
We've continued to have conversations. I will say that I think on certain areas, he's definitely trying to make sure that the overlay is everything that those affected by it the most would want it to be. But what I did was structure the hearing in accordance with the legal research I had performed and what we felt was appropriate.
Okay. Is that adjudicated then? Is it all completed, or is it still anything still pending? Just
We've got a hearing on November 18 where City Council will now hear the recommendations of Planning Commission.
But for the part that the statements that something was not appropriate in the meeting, you're comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay, thanks. The next one is the Planning Commission made it crystal clear who they are and are not representing. At 1:55 in the recording, at 1 hour 55 minutes in the recording, the city planning consultant also stated that at coffee, one person had been the source of requesting more zoning restrictions on residential property. And I'm curious if city council or planning or anyone from city administration has been able to locate that elusive person, because it seemed like nobody could find them, nobody knew who they were. So I'm just curious if we have found them or if we need to look. Okay, that's fine. If we're revising a 450-page document to make things better for our city, I would think that someone would want to learn from that individual why they were requesting that more regulation on private residents. So obviously, if we don't know who it is, we haven't interviewed them. To me, that would be a starting point in some ways, given all this campaigns, slogans around communication and transparency. I think that is not a bad idea to find out what that person was interested in, because it seems like we position a lot of assets and a lot of pages against that. So let's look at what recently occurred to the city along the lines of failing to adhere to an established process, and this is where I'm going to get into the historic side. As one example, the established and documented process for getting sign-off on in writing for the demolition of historical homes in the city. So the city, the council, when you're campaigning, you said, I'm for preserving historic homes. We need to be strategic moving forward, whether it's putting a halt on multi-unit apartments or designing an area that is new, but also upholds the historical and small town vibe that makes our city special. Top priorities for me include transparency and communication with residents, protecting and preserving green space, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of comments like that in the campaign, on the campaign trail as such. So we can think back to the days when Green Line had hoped to change the color on the bank building and the bricks on the building, and I know shocking to think you'd change brick colors, but At a time where extensive heated conversation once occurred, can we paint the brick a different color, or do we have to keep it as it is right now? Can Green Line paint the brick? The design review board successfully exerted oversight to a conclusion, but today if a developer wants to demolish multiple historic buildings in a historic district, there's not a lot that seems to have to be done. It seems that can take place without signatures. The decision does supposedly need sign off by the design review board. And however, just like Nike says, you can just do it. And then if somebody just does it, just don't paint the building before you demolish it, I guess, is the key here. But it seems like there's no accountability on that process. And it seems like that would be in the best interest of all of us in the city to have a process around that.
Steph, we're over time here. If you have any specifics about that, if you can give with me so we can discuss that, because I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, thanks. I just have 2 orders of old business to follow up on. One, almost 6 months ago, there was an elected official singled out as possibly placing personal interest in front of the public trust. In their defense, the individual publicly shared that the council and the city and that disclosure had been made and that they had passive consent from the then city attorney and at least 1 city council member. So what's the status of that
There's been no
investigation?
ethics violation filed.
Excuse me?
There's been no ethics violation filed.
Okay. And so for right now, there's no movement. Okay. And then the other one is the status update for my previous request to the city council for an independent third-party audit of the entire One Highland project, which would include at least 3 unbiased professionals with financial, legal, and real estate experience covering the project from property acquisition to today. So I'm just curious of the status of that.
We have not done that. We are looking into the different factions of that, or the different areas like we met on the first one a couple months ago.
Still on the table?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So many of you on council might be thinking that nothing's happened yet. Unfortunately, at the time you have absolute certainty of what is happening, it very well may be too late. One Highland, what about the 4 continuous parcels in the Midway District? We need leaders who can come to a conclusion and then lead. At what point will you take action on what might happen? And when will this council feel the need to step up on all of these issues? Thanks.
All right, thank you. John?
Joan Ferris, 66 Bernie Lane. On October 1st, I addressed the Planning and Zoning Commission at the open meeting that was held in the mess hall. I commented that the door remains open for any rule and any restriction hidden between the cracks in the 458 pages of the Unified Development Ordinance to be overlooked on the very whim of someone in power. As we know from firsthand experience, the problem is they don't get caught until the damage is done. I stand by that last statement. Excuse me. On a whim, I recently glanced online at parts 1, 2, and 3 of the proposed UDO. The term waiver is mentioned 138 times, the word appeal 103 times. I suppose I should officially rest my case since it appears to already be case closed.
All right, thank you. Dan? Daniel?
Hello. I'm here to talk about the FTAO. So admittedly, I'm late to the game on the zoning stuff. It seems pretty contentious. I really don't know who I align with and who I'm opposed to. I don't really care. The one thing I'm concerned with is specifically the overlay district for North and South Fort Thomas Avenue. So I've gone to a couple of meetings. I got the letter. It's the first I knew about it, so I've gone to the 2 meetings subsequent. It seems to me that it's not that limiting yet, unless you want to add a garage, or unless you want to screen in your porch, or unless you want to do the things that you're saying you can't do. But it also seems like it's opening the door up for the slippery slope of, 5 years from now, whoever has this vision for the avenue doesn't like the color I want to paint my house, doesn't like the spindles I'm using. I mean, at the last meeting on the 16th, they talked about paint color, they talked about Halloween decorations they didn't like. It seemed to show they had a desire to further regulate what was done on the avenue than what even the current proposed regulations do. I think the far more important point here is that nobody who bought a house on the avenue agreed to any kind of oversight from the design review board. Just on principle, I don't want to be told what to do with my property. I'll play by the rules just like everybody else and pull permits and do all that stuff. I love the avenue, I think it's beautiful, and I want to contribute to it being that way. But I don't really care, as long as I'm playing by the current rules, what some of the things I should do with my house. And I know that sounds selfish, but I went today and talked to 36 different households between the Marathon and the city building. Of those 36, 2 declined to answer. 1 was for the overlay district as it is. One council person's wife, I think it was a council person, told me to take a hike. 25 people are against it, and 7 people are okay with it if it's only for new builds. So, I know you guys are all running for council. I assume the best of all of you, but it's pretty stinking clear that if you're asking the people who will be under this regulation and will have to pay for it, they don't want it. And I only asked a small section, but it was pretty resounding. So if you guys want, I'll go ask more people. I mean, I don't mind doing the work, but that's what they're stuck. I'm happy to share my survey with you. I didn't ask them if they were against it. I asked them if they were for it, if they were against it, and if they were for it for new builds. And I tried, I'm biased, I don't want it. I tried to be fair in my explanation to it and give them a fair shake of what it actually is. And I was actually one of the people of the 7 who said, I'm okay with it for new builds. So 25 other people like it even less than I did. I just hope that you take that into consideration, because I know you're about to start reviewing the whole big thing. But for the overlay district on the avenue, I don't think the people on the avenue want it.
Great, thank you very much. All right, we are down to reports of officers. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. All right, I failed at my job earlier. So I forgot, in August, we actually had a ribbon cutting for Rehab Performance Institute, and Kendall wasn't able to make it to the last meeting, but I'd like to introduce Kendall Sweeney to just give a few words about her new business.
Oh, great, yes, come on up.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Just a brief intermission, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Introduction too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is actually my first city council meeting too, so how exciting. But my name is Kendall Sweeney. I'm born and raised in Fort Thomas. I'm a Highlands grad. I was living in Owensboro periodically after I graduated from the University of Evansville, but now I've moved back, and we opened a physical therapy clinic right down the street. And so I opened a Rehabilitation and Performance Institute. What we are is a private practice physical therapy clinic. So we have a little bit of a different model than some of the other healthcare or physical therapy clinics in the area. We treat solely one-on-one physical therapy, so it's just me and the patient for a full 40 minutes. We do take direct access, which means that you don't necessarily need a referral. So depending on what your insurance is, as long as it's a commercial insurance, meaning like Blue Cross Blue Shield, basically anything that's not Medicare or Medicaid, you don't necessarily need a referral. So if you have any type of ache or pain that is bothering you, or just want to work on balance or general strengthening, you can just give us a call and we can schedule an appointment. We take a whole body approach, so we treat everything from head down, from headaches, dizziness, jaw pain, everyday aches and pains, post-op, anything that you can think of, we probably treat. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Again, we're just right down the street, so you can walk in anytime you want. We'd be happy to see you, or if you want to just give us a phone call too, we're happy to answer any questions that anyone has. So again, I'm happy to give back to the community that's given so much to me, and I'm really happy to be here and hope to impact the Northern Kentucky community even more than we already have. So thank you all.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, now down to reports. Fire department report, Chief.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. This month is Fire Prevention Month, and our theme is smoke alarms, make them work for you. More or less, it's making sure that your smoke detector works. We recommend that everyone checks your smoke detectors once a month. twice a year, change the batteries in them. If anyone has any issues with their smoke detectors or having a hard time changing their batteries, call the firehouse at 441-8393, and we'll send someone down to help, get the batteries. We have an older population sometimes that vaulted ceilings, we got ladders, and we can get up there and help them get those batteries changed out.
That's really nice of you.
Yeah. We feel smoke detectors are really important, number one line of defense for anything, so that's all I have.
Great.
Real quick, is the fire advisory been lifted yet?
The burn ban was lifted.
Okay.
As I was telling Councilman Ellison here, I would expect it to possibly creep back up again because it's getting really dry again.
Yeah, we just had a little bit of rain for that couple weeks there. And
that was it. And we'll keep everyone in communication, but as of right now, you're allowed to open burn. The EPA burn ban was up in October 1st. It actually was up October 6th when the county burn ban lifted. So we're issuing out burn permits. We're just a word of caution for everyone.
that's kind of what I'm going at with that, with leaves falling and people trying to get rid of them. And
It's really dry out.
Yeah, that's exactly. So just be careful is what you're saying. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand motion.
Motion to receive and file.
Yes. Second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, police department report, chief.
Thanks, Mayor. Just one reminder, our fall DEA drug take back is this Saturday. I know it's a busy weekend with homecoming, but we'll be here 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. outside, taking unused, unwanted prescription meds, and again, partnering with the Lions Club to take old prescription glasses as well. That's all I had.
Great. Is there a motion?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. It always surprises me how many drugs are actually turned in on those weekends. Like you think people will just dispose of their problem away. I know, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
City administrator.
I've got a few things here. The Rossford Culvert is in full swing. It's been closed for a few weeks now, so they're working on it and should be completed in the next month. The Tower Park Sports Complex, the pedestrian access was open last month right after council meeting, so that's been open to be able to get back to the Sargent Avenue area. And that project is on track as of right now. The 2025 street program, the staff will be meeting with the city engineer at the beginning of November, and then we'll be bringing a recommendation to the mayor and then the Public Works Committee after that. So we've got a lot of options coming here with the new street program. Tax bills, we've got over a third collected so far, but we haven't gotten any of our big escrow accounts in. So when those dump, it's almost late 90s or high 90s once that happens. So it's been going well. Alexandria Circle, that project with the grass and then everything next to the softball field, that was all installed since the last meeting. The grass is growing and looking really good. It looks a lot better than it did. Along with that, we have looked at the fence for the softball field to add some addition there. I met with 2 residents back there to talk about that, and we're looking at bids right now for it. The pickleball courts at Highland Park, they're in full swing. We are working right now to install signs. We add some additional sidewalks to some of the gates that don't have sidewalks on. We didn't do that, and people are using them, which is tracking mud in. So Public Works is going to be adding that into their projects moving forward. We're going to be adding the portlet down there since the bathroom's going to be closed for the winter. And we're going to just actually keep one down there. So most likely we'll build a structure just because I know it's right there, but it's a long walk up the hill. We are adding trash cans and then adding 4 to 6 benches down there after talking to some of the players and just seeing how things are going along with that. Midway Streetscape and Utilities Project, we're still waiting on some final numbers. The numbers are pretty significant right now. So once I get the final numbers, we'll meet most likely a part of the street program, and with Public Works we'll meet and discuss that as a council and see what we want to do moving forward. And staff, of course, will have options to help with that. Pumpkin carving, we have 400 pumpkins that arrived today that arrived late. So we could use pumpkin carvers if anybody's interested. Over the next 2 days, I think from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. if anybody is interested in working on some pumpkin carving. Please come up to the armory and help out.
Oh,
What's that? Yeah. Yeah.
I do like art.
Shoot, there's one other thing.
Sorry.
There's one other topic I know I needed to add in here, but it got to my turn too quickly. Okay, legislation, we do have first reading of the ordinance amending the personnel ordinance, and that is for mainly the police changes and then the bereavement policy for the city. We also have a resolution for the city road data for the ad district. And what that is we compile all the roads in the town and establish which ones are ours, which ones are private, and that's for KYTC ultimately, but the ad district is collecting all that. So the staff's worked with that, submitted to the ad district, and we've been back and forth just to clean it up. So that's just a solid list for our roads. So that's what that resolution is for. The second resolution is a grant, a 5% grant to cover the 20% match of the skate park. So we're just trying to get more money and more grants. So it's a grant that was established by legislative branch Kentucky, I believe it was last year. So that's just move the next step to try to get some more money towards that project. And just so people know, that project's still at least 12 months out from getting approved by the federal government. So we're still a little bit up in the air on that project. Pending anyone's questions, that's all I have.
I got a couple of comments, actually. I think, I love that the pickleball court is being used, obviously, and the bathroom was a fantastic idea. I like how we're enclosing the porta potties to make them presentable, and they're just an easy use and not an expensive cost. I think that's fantastic that there are people down there using those things. I love putting one down there because people want to walk straight in. Some people can't walk up the hill, it makes it tough on them. I did read an article, and it's I don't know how I think it's fantastic. It's unfortunate for us that we spent a lot of money on those skate ramps, and that unfortunately the value didn't carry along with them. But we did learn a lot from them, that the use, because of the noise, we did find out that a skate park is something that we would like to look into, and we're moving forward with these grants. And I thought it was fantastic that the city that bought them, who was that again? Alexandria Bottom had fulfilled a 10-year promise to some kids to get them there or something like that. 13-year promise. So I think that even though it was unfortunate, the cost that we had, it brought skate parks to life here and then gave a chance for them to fulfill something they promised someone 13 years ago. So I think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars in my mind. You know, I mean, it's good for both parties, you know, so I thought that was fantastic. So, worked out.
Okay. Matt, we spoke a couple weeks ago about the patches that are going on in the street. It seems like there's a ton of them. The utilities they like to mess up our brand new streets. Have you had a chance to look into that a little bit more?
No, I mean, I've talked to them and talked to the state, but not as in detail as you were wanting. So I'll look into that this month.
And I'll just for council, I asked Matt if we can, as opposed to them just patching what is tore up, if they could spread it out make it a bigger patch area, like when you feather out drywall kind of, but you can, if we're not satisfied with the job that's done, if they can come back and do it again, because.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the avenue is it's the state, so we can't add anything to that, the state won't, but it is still something good for us to look at for our streets moving forward. Okay. And just so everyone knows, I mean, there's enormous amount of street cuts that doesn't happen on our streets that often because we work with utilities. When we know we're gonna do a street, we contact all the utilities. The state does not, I mean, they just pay. So Duke had this replace the gas lines in the mix, but there was no communication there, so that's why we have so many cuts.
There was sewer work done on Riverside Parkway where they did fix the sewer and they made a square, like 6x6 cut to do all the pavement, and they did a nice job. So I think that, didn't we change that last year to where the minimum amount that could be damaged and repaired was a bigger area? And it seems like they did do that.
Can we do that?
But that's what Jeff had brought up,
Great
and I just
idea.
I haven't had time to research it.
Something about that too.
They did do it on Riverside. It was obvious, and it looks like they did a good job.
When was that?
They finished a week ago. I it was last week.
That was, are you sure there was utilities and that wasn't repair or damage from when we paved it? Because didn't we pave that road?
No, it was actually, sorry, Burnt Ridge.
Oh.
So it was, but, it is sewer.
Okay.
And it was leaking.
Good.
We had some problems with it. And when they repaired it, they did repair it. It's maybe a 6x6 area, so it does look nice.
I think Jeff and Andy are right, and I've said it before, but I think you're coming down pretty hard on these utility companies, not hard on them, I shouldn't say, but you're keeping them checked instead of, most times they can get away from you a little patch, but it does add up in the long run if it's not done correctly, so I think you've been doing a great job of keeping on them, and the more you keep on them, the less likely they are to leave it, not as well done, so we don't have to go back at them and say, no, you're gonna have to do it twice.
Yeah, so I'll try to have
That's
a
a
little
good
bit
point, guys.
better for our next council meeting.
So, all right, we have reports of committees. We don't have any this time, old business, we got a new business, Main Avenue reconstruction.
That's what it was. It was already on the agenda, so that's good. So we do have, I know that email classified as an emergency repair, which it's not. So anytime I say emergency, that's generally where we need to do something immediately and I don't have to bid it out. So with KRS, we have to do anything over 40,000, we have to bid out unless it's deemed an emergency. So this really is an emergency. Main Avenue has had a lot of slippage, as council that's been here a while probably knows. We have spent money over the years that it keeps moving. So it is something that we've looked at. We actually did an analysis on it a year ago, and we were going to add that into this next year, the following year's budget. However, SD1 is doing a sewer project through that whole road, and they're going to be digging up the entire road, which means they're going to be paving the entire road. So it makes sense for us to go ahead and do it now. That way we get free paving out of it. I mean, that does reduce our original estimate. If council's and I did send out the drawing on that and the estimate. It will still get bid out if council approves it, so we're still gonna go through a bid process here in February, and we'll be looking at a spring construction. But while the SD1 is doing their sewer work, we'll be simultaneously doing, shoring up the roadway to keep it falling into the creek. So, that's the ask tonight is, if we can go ahead and move forward with that. And if I can find
Not that it needs it, but I lived right across the street from Main, and I walk my dog down Main all the time. I love that street. I like Main Street a lot. Actually, backs up back there really nicely. I can't believe it's taken this long for it to need attention. To be honest with you, that creek, it moves when it rains, and all the water from both sides of the hills come down. They feed into that creek, and it goes. You know what I mean? My house sits on waterworks. There's just a lot of movement there. So.
It's right down, it's in the middle of the road, from what I am. Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be, it's actually towards the edge of the road, looks like, where we're gonna have to shore it up, so. Again, this is a project, we know it's coming, it's one of those expensive projects that you don't really see a lot after the fact, but other than the road that should be there and should be functional. But it's.
Are we gonna put guardrails up by any chance when we do? I don't know that it's necessary. Some people use parking spots there, but it is a pretty full drop off there, but.
I don't think we are putting guardrails.
Okay.
There's gonna be rails in to support.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've ever had an issue with it before, so.
Yeah. So the estimate is just under 261,000. So that would be, my request is to authorize 261,000 to go ahead, and we'll bid that out in February and see how it goes. If council is willing to do that, we'll go ahead and get the bid documents, construction drawings and everything moving forward, so we can bid that out here. Great. So, if I can get a motion to amend the budget to 261,000 for the Main Avenue stabilization.
You want us to repeat that or just make a motion? Yeah, make a motion to do what you just said.
Okay. So Adam made a motion to.
$261,000.
$261,000
budget to fix Main Street.
Main
Structural.
Second. Roll call vote.
Eric Strange,
Aye.
Andy Ellison,
Aye.
Jeff Easel,
Aye.
Adam Black,
Aye.
Ben Hendry.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, here's stuff of executive session, we'll do that at the end, we go through these first.
Okay.
How do you wanna do this?
Well, we gotta do the finance committee before we go into this.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. This This is the Finance Committee's report of disbursements from September the 14th to October the 17th, 2024. In the general fund, $500,252.80. Public Works, KDOT fund, $163,485.95. The CBD Revitalization Fund, $30,752.76. And the waste fee, $129,406.74. That's a total of $823,898.25. We, the undersigned members of the Finance Committee, recommend that warrants numbered 26046 to 26215 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Ben Pendry, chairperson; Eric Strange, member; Jeff Beazle, member.
There's one more member.
And Andy Ellison also, they don't.
Oh, yeah, here's Jeff.
But Andy Ellison is the fourth member of the Finance Committee.
Entertain a motion, please.
Receive and file.
Concurrent recommendations.
You got it.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Andy Ellison.
Aye.
Jeff Easel.
Aye.
Adam Black.
Aye.
Ben Henry.
Aye.
Eric String.
Okay, let's do these ordinances and resolutions and then we can go into executive session.
Okay, before, should we, so I thought the executive session was about maybe one of these ordinances, should we have the executive session first?
We can do that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We can do that, that's right. Sure.
Moving pursuant to KRS 61.8101F to enter into an executive session for the purpose of discussions and hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee or member without restricting that employee or member's right to a public hearing if requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, folks, we're going into executive session. We will return and finish out the meeting with the ordinances and resolutions that are on the agenda. You're welcome to stay, you're welcome to leave, whatever you'd like to do. The TV's work, we could turn on a show.
Somebody can probably log in if you want. Just be careful.